All right, welcome into Game Night Live Rewind, our rural award show. This again will take in our 3A, 2A, and 1A classifications. Dusty Lister and Dane Stewart, as always, brought to you by our friends at Heidemann and Associates.
Yeah, that's right, Dusty. And Heidemann Associates, a full service law firm. You don't even have to come to the Wasatch Front to meet with them. They can meet with you virtually. So whatever legal needs you might have, there's no one who will take care of you better than Heidemann and Associates. For a free consultation, call 801-754-4240.
Absolutely. And now that Justin is a rural guy. I mean, he's a Wellington boy. With what we do, we take care of everybody and anybody. So let's get through this. And, this has been fun. We decided that, hey, we've done 5A, 6A awards. We did 4A. We started basketball. Was like, hey, why not? We talk a lot of 3A, 2A, 1A as well. But let's give these kids awards too because they absolutely deserved it, and excited for this. So let's get right to it. Our Rural Offensive Player of the Year. Well, let's bring in our Rural Offensive Player of the Year, Jace Palmer of the San Juan Broncos, the 3A state champions. And Jace, I mean, if you've watched our top 5 plays, and I know that you have because I told your history teacher to make sure that you guys know those are up. Do you know who Ken Stabler is?
I do not know who Ken Stabler is.
That breaks my heart. All right, how about Jake Plummer?
Nope.
Okay, both of them were known as the Snake. So one was left-handed like you, right? Jace the Snake. That's what I always went with. So you got to go look up the highlights, okay? They were both known as the Snake, but man, you're a reborn version of Kenny Stabler. I'm a Raider fan. He was a legendary Raider quarterback, but man, the way you play was just so much fun. But if I took you back to a play, if you got to relive one play from this past season, which play would you pick?
I would probably pick the touchdown pass I threw to Jersey Neves in the state game. It was like 4th and 27 or something, and yeah, that I would go back to that play.
Good answer. I love that, man. That was a heck of a play.
Thank you.
Jace, I want to take you to the Beaver game, but I want to take you to the other Beaver game because I remember watching that one and it was just muddy and wet, and I mean that was just a old-fashioned football, just line up and run it, and a lot of just not converting at the propensity that the offenses had. I mean, it was the lowest point output you guys had, the lowest Beaver had. What was that game like? Because it just doesn't feel like you see that kind of football much anymore. What was that like to be a part of that?
Yeah, it was a rainy, cold, wet game. Everyone was slipping. We couldn't really we could drive the whole field, but then when we got down to the red zone, we just couldn't finish, and it was just a big defensive game, and I don't know, the defense just had to step up.
So, Jason, I mean, how fun is it? You win a state championship in Ogden. You've got seemingly a 10-hour bus ride back to Blanding. How much energy do you guys have when you finally got back home for the celebration?
I feel like we had a lot of energy. We didn't do the celebration till the next day, but lots of us teammates, we pulled an all-nighter and stayed and partied all nights. But yeah, we had a lot of energy still.
Jace, when you think about this year, I mean, you guys go 12-1. I think you lost your first game, right? And then reeled off 12 straight. Go win a state championship. When you think back on that, like, is that still surreal for you? Has it like actually, like, has it hit you yet what you guys were able to accomplish and at what rate you did? Because it's like the best season in school history in like the last 15 plus years.
Yeah, it kind of seems a little surreal to us, but we watched. We were little kids. We were at the state games in 2009 and 10 when San Juan won it, and we always wanted to play for a state championship, and so we wanted that, and so it was our goal. And it was a good year. It was fun.
How much did the basketball state tournament run help you guys getting prepared for the football season? Get to the state championship game, have a slugfest, unable to pull it out, but how much did that prep you guys for the run that can come in football?
So four of our five starters on the basketball team that year. I was in there, a running back, both of our receivers were in it. So it it prepped us. We didn't want to lose again. That loss was hard. It was hard losing in the state game, and we didn't want that to happen again.
Well, just so you know, one of the two of us picked you to win the basketball state championship too. So go get a double dip. But we're super excited to have you on. And Jace, it was so much fun watching you play on the football field. We look forward to see you on the hardwood. But congratulations, Jace Palmer, our 2021 Rural Offensive Player of the Year.
Thank you.
Look, Jace Palmer and Jensen Grover. I mean, you could go back and forth on who you'd go, but man, I loved every time we turned on film and got highlights. I loved watching what Jace Palmer did on the football field.
You know, and the thing that was so awesome about Dusty, it is talent that you see very often in those lower classifications, right? I mean, big, strong arm, big frame kid, athletic. I mean, he could have very easily fit into 4A, 5A, and it's been another quarterback for classifications in this. And you look at the success that this program had, and I misstate, it hasn't been 15 years, been 10 years, still a while since they've, had this kind of success, a 12-win season. But, man, what a year. And, I had a chance to see them kind of mid-year. It's like, oh, that San Juan team is really, really good. And they proved it, over the course of the rest of the year is, man, that offense, so difficult to stop. And that due in large part to the way that Jace played. Obviously, a lot of teammates that go into that. But, man, what a year for Jace Palmer and the Broncos.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, getting the state championship game in the 3A side in the basketball team, until about 4 of the 5 guys were on the football team. Thought that would help push them. But, man, that was a good team. Ladd Ivins, wanted to say that name one more time. Ladd Ivins and Jensen Grover and others. I mean, so good. So, by the way, his play that he picked, that was spectacular. That touchdown pass for an half. That was. I mean, you talk about why he's such a good quarterback. The recall of the best play for him to pick. I mean, that's just spectacular. Great mental awareness from Jace Palmer. All right, let's get to our Rural Defensive Player of the Year. All right, let's bring in our Rural Defensive Player of the Year, Ethan Rainier of the Grantsville Cowboys. And Ethan, first of all, man, you look like a Defensive Player of the Year. Who's the player that you try to imitate the most on the defensive side of the ball?
My favorite, Sean Taylor. Really, he's been one of my idols for a very long time, and it sucked that he had to go.
Well, I love that answer. Dane, you can go next, Dane. But I got to know. All right, how did you learn about Sean Taylor, and how much time do you spend on YouTube looking at some old clips of old 21?
I know about him ever since I saw one of his highlights, and I just got attached to it. So I looked him up and watched about almost every video about him. So, but yeah, he's my idol. So
that's awesome.
I love that answer. By the way, for those of you who don't know, go watch him. He was a phenomenal player, college and professional. That's a great idol, Ethan. Hey, I want to kind of relive that championship game because, man, it felt like so many times the defense answered the call. What was it like going out there and continuing to just stifle would have been a really productive offense? I mean, you guys kind of had their number in both matchups, but what was it like to go out there and just make big plays against that Morgan defense in the biggest game of the year?
It was just I don't know how to explain it, but we just went out there and did our best every play and see what we could do.
What's better, getting revenge on Juan Diego or sweeping Morgan?
That's a good one. I'm not quite sure on that one. We've been rivals with Morgan for quite a while, so I'll probably have to go with that one, Morgan.
Yeah, that's good because the sweep of Morgan brings home a ring. So that's a good answer. Good answer. So
I was going to ask, what is it like to win a state championship in a community that hadn't won one for 30 plus years? I mean, was that kind of unreal? Did you recognize how special that was as you were coming back after winning that state championship?
Yeah, I thought it was a dream at first because I didn't think it was it was a big thing for us, and it's been a really long time since we actually won one. So, yeah, I thought it was just a dream, and but it ended up being real.
Ethan, first let's clarify for everybody, because we talked about it before the interview. That's not from a school fight. You weren't defending anybody's honor, but your own. So how's the wrestling season going? What weight class you wrestling in?
It's going pretty good so far. I mean, I'm wrestling at 165 right now, and it's treating me well. Well, not by the eye, but
hey, par for the course, man. Par for the course.
Yeah.
Hey, Ethan, what's it like playing for Coach Bird? Maybe what's one of the stories from the year that he wouldn't mind you sharing that maybe gives us some insight into what it's like to play for him?
It's really good playing for Coach Bird because we preach family, and I really look up to that as well. I really take that to heart, and so.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, first of all, congratulations on a spectacular year, having a great defensive season, bringing home a state championship. But best of luck on the wrestling season. But congratulations, Ethan Rainier, our Rural Defensive Player of the Year on Game Night Live Rewind.
Thank you.
Look, Ethan Rainier and Grantsville, I mean, I think it's fun that we had 10 years since San Juan had won a state championship. It's been a long time since Grantsville brought one home. It had been 18 years since they had appeared in a state championship game. Makes me feel old because I remember in 2005 they had the semifinals. Like 2 years ago, I remember doing that game. And the thing they got there, Dane, is just amazing.
Yeah, it was, Dusty. And I mean, you look at how good that region was. Remember, it was a 3-way tie for the region champ between they and Morgan and Juan Diego, and had to go through both those teams en route to the state championship game. And when you look at, the way the season paved out, it was the defense that led the way. And that's not taking anything away from Caleb Sullivan and the rest of that offense, but it was the Grantsville defense that had to figure out a way to slow down one of the state's leading rushers, one of the classification's top offenses in Morgan, and yet they did it. And when you think about that championship game, they kind of left that door open a couple times, and that defense had to respond again and again, and they did it every time. And Ethan Rainier, a young man who was all-region defensively for the Grantsville Cowboys, had a great championship game, but, man, a great year for them. To help lead the way for Grantsville and the Cowboys to capture a state championship.
And not only that, he had the game-clinching, state championship-clinching catch and get that ride back into town. Just so good. Absolutely so good. Congratulations to Ethan Rainier for the winning our Rural Defensive Player of the Year. All right, let's get to our Rural Coach of the Year. All right, let's bring in our Rural Coach of the Year, Coach Cody Bird of the Grantsville Cowboys and state champions as well. Coach, first of all, how much fun was it to go back to Grantsville? First state championship appearance since 2003, first state championship in such a long time for Grantsville. How fun was that bus ride back from Ogden coming into Gville?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, the kids had so much energy. The town was ready for it. And we took a little tour, kind of drove around in our bus all the way around the town, and it was crazy. Like, there was people on every corner, every street, and we had one guy one parent that I think went to like 8 different corners just to cheer for us as we went by. It was awesome. They usually have us ride on a fire truck. They couldn't do that this year, but I think we did the next best thing, and that tour was awesome. I mean, it was crazy loud, and it was a lot of fun.
Coach, that's awesome. And you guys had a little bit of an opportunity for some serious revenge tour this year. You got swept by Morgan in 2020. This year, you sweep the Trojans, including the state championship, losing to Juan Diego in the regular season. You beat them in the semi. What was that like? And did that play a part in the team and the motivation as you guys were running through the playoffs and through the course of the regular season?
There's always that pressure and a little bit extra motivation to beat Morgan. Really good rivalry going between the schools and in just about every sport. So anytime you can beat them, it's a bonus. And sweeping them was great. And I think there's a lot of people that made the comment that beating them in the championship made it that much sweeter. Getting revenge on Juan Diego was nice. I know it came down to the last play and fingertip catch, and we would have won the first one. But I knew we could come back and compete with them and beat them the second time around. So definitely.
Coach, you talk about that Juan Diego game. How much character building was made after that? Because, we watched that game. I watched that very closely. in our Friday night show that we do, and saw those couple of fourth down opportunities, seniors unable to come up with those catches, and how much of a character building moment was that for you guys on this championship run? Because even in the championship game, you guys had a chance to put it away, had a ball kind of go out the fingertips, but this time you're able to overcome it and still get the job done. Was there a character building moment there for your boys?
I think just the fact that we were in that type of game before really helped us out. And we knew that, given that chance again, that we wouldn't let it slip by, and we had that pass again, it would have been complete the next time. But definitely the kids believed in themselves. They did from the beginning, and worked hard, and it showed. When we get into those moments, we talked about it. Hey, we're going to be in this moment again. You know what to react. You know how to be there, and bring it next time. And they did. They really stepped up. They didn't let the quarterback down, or didn't let Caleb get down, didn't let Cage get down. When they missed that play, they were right behind them, and we knew that they were going to lead us to a championship. And so they were behind them 100%.
Coach, I love that we kind of started off with you guys talking about what it was like to come back to Grantsville after winning that championship. What is it like to coach in the Grantsville community? Maybe what's one of the things that maybe most people wouldn't realize about that community, or what's one of the things that makes it special to you to be able to represent Grantsville as a community and to go win a state championship?
It was, I think I noticed that, like, the first time I came, it was, when I got hired, I grew up Salt Lake, and played out there and everything, but we came out here, got hired, and that first game we had, they tailgate, they, get the grills out there, and then the whole town comes out. It's just packed, and it's great. I mean, it definitely gives you that small town, old fashioned football. Everyone's behind you, and you get stopped at the grocery stores, you get stopped everywhere, and they want to talk football. It's awesome. I mean, there's not another place like it. So definitely love it out here.
You stop and get the cowboy combo before or after the game. Make sure you're set up.
Oh yeah, they definitely take care of me. Yep.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a spectacular year and be able to bring back a state championship to Grantsville. And again, congratulations being named our 2021 Rural Coach of the Year.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you guys for your support, and what you guys do for high school sports is awesome, and we really appreciate it.
Look, when you do something that hasn't been done for a long time, we're going to give it to you. And Coach Bird, congratulations. And I can just imagine, and I meant it, because I've had the cowboy combo at Grantsville. It is a combo to get if you go to a Grantsville football game. But congratulations to Coach Bird. A lot of fun to get to talk to him tonight.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, you think about, we talked a little bit about what Grantsville had to overcome with Ethan, but man, you talk about some revenge, right? Because you got kind of salty flavor in the mouth from the prior year against Morgan, and then obviously a game that they felt like they probably could have had against Juan Diego in the regular season, and to be able to sweep Morgan in 21, to be able to get past Juan Diego in the semifinal and way to the championship, man, heck of a job. And I mean, you think about this Grantsville team, Dusty, it's been a long time since that program has won a state championship. And to have the year they have, to be able to put it all together, put together the run, man, heck of a job by Coach Bird and his staff to be able to make that happen in a community that, hasn't won a championship in a long, long time. Very well earned for Coach Bird.
Absolutely. If we go from our Coach of the Year, let's go to our most unheralded player of the year. And a young man we weren't able to catch up with, but how about Alex Jackson, the young man out of Juab? Dane, maybe a kid we could talk a little bit more about, because last year in the 3A classification, when we talked about Juab, I mean, Bowering, we got a lot of love toward him, but man, what Alex Jensen was able to do at the controls of that Juab team, he had an outstanding year for the Wasps.
Yeah, he did. Jackson threw 66% completion percentage on the year for the Wasps, over 3,000 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. And, we had talked a little bit, Dusty, about Juab. You mentioned Cade Bowering last year en route to the state championship game. Felt like, man, without Cade, they're going to take a step back. And Alex Jackson made sure that did not happen. What a year for him this year to help keep Juab in contention for a state championship, for region titles as well, as there was not much of a drop-off in this Wasp squad. I know people were going to say, well, they didn't win it. Yeah, but they were still right there. This was still a team to be reckoned with. And Alex Jackson with his year, very responsible for that, and a young man that probably overshadowed because of a lot of the other teams in the classification. We talked about Grantsville and Morgan and Juan Diego and others. Juab probably, we probably did not give them the due credit they deserved, did not give Jackson the due credit, and hence our award winner for the most unheralded. We certainly could have talked about him a lot more this season.
Yeah, and but a spectacular year for Alex Jensen. All right, to our final award here. And again, yeah, man, we wish we could have caught up with you, so unable to. Parker Crum, Mr. TwoWay, for our rural teams. And really, when we look at this is one of those rarefied air things that the quarterback playing offense and defense. Hadn't seen this since maybe Matt Marshall in the 05 year with Skyline. Matt Marshall played safety and quarterback at Skyline to the state tournament where they wouldn't do it anymore. But Parker Crum, he threw touchdowns and he took away touchdowns with interceptions. He was spectacular both ways for the state champion Duchesne Eagles.
Yeah, he was. Obviously, you talk about him as a quarterback, Dusty, 60% or 61% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns through the air, 6 interceptions. You talk about him running the football, was their leading rusher this year, ran for almost 650 yards, 6+ yards a carry, 13 touchdowns on the ground. And then he's Mr. TwoWay because of his defense. Has a defensive touchdown this year, 3 interceptions on the year. You talk about interception in the state championship game, 37 tackles as well. Parker Crum was everything for Duchesne this year. And I know there were a lot of other great players. I mean, you could talk defensively about, Claiborne. Fabrizio was a young man that went both ways, right? There are a lot of other guys for Duchesne, but Parker Crum, man, the way that he contributed offensively, defensively for this team, very deserving of our Mr. TwoWay in the rural classifications.
Well, Dane, an amazing year. Our first time doing the rules. This feels pretty good, right? Give the rural guys some love. Put them on the big time here at KSLSports.com.
Dusty, it's something we've been wanting to do for years, and we just haven't had the capacity to do it. And now with the great advances in technology, check it off the list. Can't wait to do this more as we go through the rest of our seasons here on Game Night Live Rewind and in future years to be able to recognize some of those hard-working players in the lower classifications on a more regular basis. We know there's great football in 6A, 5A, 4A. We get to talk about it a lot. And now a chance to recognize it in 3A, 2A, and 1A. It's going to be awesome. Cannot wait to do this again in the future. But very deserving candidates. And there's a lot of people we weren't able to talk about. It's hard when we consolidate 3 classifications down into 1 award grouping. There's a lot of players that could have won these awards. Congratulations to those who did. And for those who are coming back, keep working. We'll find you and we'll talk to you next season.
Absolutely. Well, it's so much fun to be able to do this. And again, to wrap up our football coverage, couldn't find any better way of doing it than awarding young men for what they did on the football field. Again, congratulations to our award winners. And to those who didn't, look, we know you, we see you, and we'll do our very best, but there's only so much time in the day to get these interviews done and be able to talk with you. But congratulations on a great year, guys, and we look forward to seeing you next year. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching Game Night Live Rewind's Football Award Show on KSLSports.com.